Sean Franklin
and Nicole Smith
from Blood and Iron Martial Arts.
We're here today to talk to you about the 4 openings in German martial arts.
So what are the 4 openings?
Basically, it isn't anything too complicated. It's simply dividing the body into a target vertically and horizontally.
Now this is just an arbitrary division. If you look at different masters throughout history, they classify their targets differently. The Germans like to cut the body up into 4 parts.
Now, the vertical line doesn't change at all, but sometimes the horizontal one does, depending on the master, the weapon set, and what they were trying to accomplish.
In this sense, it's not a rigid classification, it's more like guidelines.
Really. One thing all fencers can agree on is a sword is only so big, and it cannot defend your entire body all at once.
It isn't like a video game where you can just spam the block button and defend every attack.
Using the 4 quadrants, you can assume the sword can only be effective in one of them at a time.
Though we have all 4 openings to work with, German systems tend to heavily favor attacking into the upper left opening with the initial strike.
This is because it's easiest to intercept something coming at you at the same time.
Once you've made your initial attack, the rest of their body becomes completely open. By moving rapidly between the 4 openings, you put them very much on the defensive.
When facing a reasonably skilled opponent, it's safe to assume they're going to be able to block your first attack.
This is why you don't go all in completely off balance. You have to be in balance so you can make use of whatever openings they create.
We know that when they move to defend a quadrant, they automatically open up the quadrant they just left.
If you're throwing attacks rapidly, their opponent's going to be on the defensive, and their parries are going to be a lot less controlled and have a lot less finesse than they normally would if they weren't pressured.
Good for you, bad for them.
Now, if you manage to over-parry really far, that means in order to come back and make the next parry, you have to go that much further, which tends to mean if you do make the parry, it's even more wild and less controlled. This is a bad chain reaction, and you can probably guess how it ends.
If you parry too narrow, most likely because you haven't had time to form proper structure, then it makes it easy to blow through your guard.
Moving between the 4 quadrants, it's not just for cuts. You should do it in all attacks, thrusts as well.
In fact, if you're really good, you can have them chasing you in circles. The 4 openings is a good way to imagine attacking the body, but it's also a good way to learn to move between your targets and keep your opponent on their heels.
It's also important to consider from a defensive point of view. The sword can't cover everything, and for no man defends themselves without danger. So if you're developing defensive strategies, they have to steal back the initiative and force your opponent to stop attacking.
Sounds easy, doesn't it? No. But remember, if you're not going to put in the training, you're not going to get the results.